Welcome to the Series Sweep podcast, where I'm breaking down each and every single series for the Dodgers for the 2020 season. You can find me, Eric Eulau, on Twitter. That is at EEULAU. You can find us under YouTube under the Series Sweep. You can also find us on Spotify under the Series Sweep as well, in case you don't want to see this ugly mug. I apologize, I'm not wearing my classic Dodgers hat. I have absolutely no idea where it was or where it is. Luckily, Lakers played today, beat the Rockets, so now they're up 3-1 in the Western Conference semis. So I gotta rock the Laker hat in support, the Laker-colored Dodgers hat. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to stop in and check it out here on the Series Sweep. So let's get to it. The Dodgers wrap up a 3-game midweek set against the Arizona Diamondbacks. They take 2 of 3, losing tonight 2-5 after back-to-back extra inning wins. They were not pretty. We started off with a 10-9 extra inning affair. You had Walker Buehler versus Luke Weaver. Early on, Walker Buehler looked like he was absolutely dealing. He retired the first 7 batters he faced and then didn't finish 3 innings. Ran into trouble in the second, and that was it. His blister flared up, which we'll get to, unfortunately, on the injury report. The Dodgers ended up winning that wild game 10-9. Look, early on, it did not look like it was going to be the Dodgers game. They looked a little tight, and I think the offense got going late. And this game will be known, that game one will be known as the Gavin Lux coming out party. He hits not just his first home run in the majors this year, his first pair of home runs. He had a solo shot, and then he also had a 3-run blast in extras to put the Dodgers up 10-6. And the way Kenley Jansen pitched, they absolutely needed that extra cushion there. So Kenley Jansen looked awful in that 10th inning. He gives up 2 earned. Obviously, it's 3 runs total with the ghost runner. He gives up a homer, a double, and a single. Just looked awful. His second and a half bad outing of the season. Not something you want to see from your closer, especially when you only have about two and a half weeks of baseball left, maybe 2.5 weeks, before playoff time. Not a pretty game. That game one did have our chemistry-changing moment of the series, and that was Tommy LaCastro losing his mind and trying to go first to home on a throwing error by Austin Barnes. LaCastro, he's stealing second. Barnes makes a horrible throw, goes into shallow center. LaCastro rounds third and decides just to go for it with Kenley Jansen on the mound. Just decides to go for it and gets tagged out by probably 10, 15 feet at home. It took all the wind out of the sails to the Diamondbacks. They were building something. They had an opportunity to beat the Dodgers and kind of set the tone in that game one, and just stupid base running. And I know how fast he is. He's probably one of the 5-10 fastest guys in the majors this year, Tommy LaCastro, but just a really dumb decision. And I thought that really stopped the Diamondbacks offense right in their tracks with that awful error. You just don't want to make errors on the base paths. You don't want to make errors at third, and you certainly don't want to get tagged out at third, and you certainly don't want to get tagged out at home. So Tommy LaCastro, you get the chemistry-changing moment of the series for just being an idiot, to be honest. Speed kills. Be careful, kids. Game two was Kershaw, Tyler Clark. Just checking the game notes here, don't worry. Kershaw's second worst start, I would say, since that San Francisco start where Austin Slater took him deep twice. He got dinked and dunked by the Diamondbacks to the tune of 4 earned runs. He did complete 5 innings, which just seems like a godsend these days with the way the Dodgers are pitching and the way Dave Roberts is handling the starters and their workload. I think a big thing for that game two was that bullpen with 5 shutout innings, something they needed after really uneven performances against the Rockies. A rough game one in this series where they gave up, I believe, 8 earned. Check the tape. Sorry, I was on play-by-play instead of box score. I apologize. This is great radio. I know. I'm reading to you box scores. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. The bullpen with, 6 earned. Good job, boys. 6 earned in game one. A clean sheet in game two. Game three today, Gonsolin gave up a 3 spot there. But I think the the big question I think that game 2 that comes up with that ghost runner, which obviously Clayton Kershaw mentioned he's not a big fan of the ghost runner. Sorry, it is what it is. I don't mind it. It helps keep my bedtime a little better, but there's more to life than getting to bed early, despite what Benjamin Franklin says. So the question I found myself asking and talking to some Dodger fans, some very knowledgeable Dodger fans who I respect a lot, is do you walk in the bottom of the ninth when you're the away team? Do you decide to walk the opposing team's best base runner with 2 outs just so their fastest base runner, Tommy LaCastro, doesn't make the last out and then starts out as that ghost runner on second? And I thought it was a really great point. It's a really interesting piece of strategy that you're only having to deal with this year. There's an argument to be made that you intentionally walk Tommy LaCastro, put runners first and second, get that third out, and all of a sudden you have a much slower base runner at second instead of the fastest dude on the team. It's going to be really interesting the rest of the regular season, especially with the Dodgers only up a handful of games on the Padres trying to hold on to that 1 seed, and you're going to have a lot of managers maybe making some strange decisions you'd only make when you're a couple of games within getting into an 8-team playoff in each league, and making kind of some snap decisions here with how this ghost runner and how the extra inning format has played out this year. So just something to chew on, something to think about, I think, for the final couple of series down the stretch. Do you walk Tucker, the kid on the Astros who can just absolutely fly? There's a couple other guys. Tatis obviously is maybe a guy you walk just to get him out and have him not be that runner on second. The Dodgers will start a 3-game set with the Padres next week. Just food for thought. You see the series score there. It tells a great story. This was a very tightly contested series. I think the Dodgers played like crap. I think they were a mess, and I think that's a big reason why the stat of the series. You had 7 errors for the Dodgers. 7 errors in this series. They now have the 5th most in the majors. Early on in this season, the Dodgers looked great. They were one of the best teams as far as fielding by traditional stats. I haven't delved into all the advanced analytics for fielding statistics for the Dodgers, but just kind of a crappy defensive performance. They looked sloppy. The pitching wasn't crisp. A weird series to begin with, to be honest. And I think the errors just keep piling up too. Something that I thought was really interesting from today's game, from Game 3, just a weird lineup. You had Betts at second base for the first time since, I believe, September 2014, and then you had Bellinger at first, and then you had Will Smith DHing and Austin Barnes working behind the dish. Something you didn't think you were going to see is Mookie Betts and Bellinger sharing the infield together this year, obviously with some injuries here and there with Justin Turner, as we've talked about. It's going to happen. I know they had to get Kike in the lineup tonight because they had to get Kike in the lineup as I just pulled out my headphone jack. We'll just keep rolling. They had to get Kike in the lineup because what he can do against Bumgarner because of his career stats. Why didn't you just put Kike at second base and keep Mookie Betts in right? I know he had a play last night, Betts did, where he made not 1 error, but 2 errors on the exact same play, which is rare. This is on top of his other error against the Rockies in the previous series. I did not understand that. Maybe I'm missing something really obvious. If I am, please send me a tweet. Let me know what I'm missing. Text me. IG me. People don't say that. Hit me up on Instagram. That's what I meant to say. But just kind of a really bizarre lineup. So, Game 3 tonight. Unfortunately, Dustin May leaves the game. Gets hit with a line driver on the inside of his plant leg. Did not look good limping around. Finished the inning, but the velocity wasn't quite there. I don't blame the Dodgers for pulling him. It was probably the smarter thing to do. You're up a bunch of games. You're going to make the playoffs. You don't need to push the rookie through. And like they even said, if he was a veteran, maybe you ice him up and just let him gut it out. But there's no reason to push it in this game. Yeah, the Dodgers didn't execute on offense tonight. They had bases loaded. Seager couldn't get them across. They had first and second a few times. Couldn't get anything going. Credit the Diamondbacks bullpen for kind of rejiggering how they're going to handle this Dodgers offense tonight, especially with kind of just a bizarro lineup as we talked about. But to get back to, they lose tonight. They still take 2 out of 3. The problem is the Padres won again, so they pick up a game. But just a weird night, a perfect end to a weird series, and something that I wanted to talk about tonight was was this guy. And like I said, I try to be oh, nice. You see that Laker color Dodger hat? I didn't even do that on purpose. Something that I think gets overstated a lot is how Dave Roberts handles the bullpen. But I think this series and how things have trended with this bullpen now, even though they're still, one of the top 2 or 3 bullpens by ERA, I get that. They're up there in innings, they're top 5 in innings pitched. But Roberts seems to be handling this bullpen many times like it's Game 4 of the NLCS during this regular season. Just not letting the starters go deep. And I know you're trying to protect the pitchers, but you're only getting 3 extra spots on the roster if my math's right here. So you don't have this treasure trove of dudes just to keep rolling through and piling through like your Gabe Kapler, just keep flipping guys up on the mound. Let the starters go a little deeper. You're going to blow out the bullpen. It's like, what would you rather have, Dodger fans? Would you rather have the number 1 seed and a bullpen that has pitched way too many innings and is just going to get crushed in October, or at least look really tired in October? Or would you rather cut it a little bit close on the 1 seed and have a fully rested bullpen and have everyone with established roles and stop yanking starting pitchers and just giving them, if I'm a starting pitcher for the Dodgers and I give up 2 earned through my first 4, I'm like, oh, I'm getting pulled. And I think that really affects some of these guys' confidence. I think Julio Urias is certainly one of those. But stop pulling guys at the first sign of trouble. Like, let them gut it out. Like, we're not scrapping for the 7 or the 8 spot in the playoffs. I'm not saying being reckless. I'm not saying let a guy get roasted for 6 earned runs. Just have a little patience because you're just burning through this bullpen. And especially with Roberts, the way he has these, preferred, I don't know why I'm still holding this, why he has these preferred relievers, Dylan Floro, Blake Trinan, guys that he just brings in, Caleb Ferguson. At the first sign of trouble, it's like, oh, boom, bring him in. The Alex Wood experiment tonight after Dustin May got pulled, and then Victor Gonzalez, who I think has done a great job for everything the Dodgers have asked him for. In that first game, there's this sky-high 25-foot chopping ground ball back to the pitcher's mound, and just the poise I think that Victor Gonzalez has. Fielded it cleanly, threw it to first, easy out, was not phased at all, where I think a lot of rookies, fumble their footwork or just try to rip the ball over to first and it doesn't quite work out. I love what Victor Gonzalez has done for this team. I think as it is right now, I definitely have him in consideration for the playoff roster as a reliever. But Roberts, Dave, Doc, whatever nickname you like, whatever you prefer, stop pulling the guys so early. And that could be a tough ask now because you have Walker Buehler on the IR with a blister. Who knows how long Dustin May is going to be out. You had Tony Gonsolin pitch tonight, and obviously Kershaw just pitched. So, that starter for the Sunday Night Baseball game against the Houston Astros was against Zach Greinke. I don't know who they're going to throw up there. I don't think a guy like Mitchell White is going to get the call, but it'll be interesting to see what they cobble together. I don't think having a bullpen game that game is going to be optimal, but it just may be what they're forced to do. So we get back to it. You see the batting average there, 243. It was up and down offensive output wise. The ERA, you gave up, you gave up 13 runs between 2 games. I mean, luckily you won them both, even though it was sloppy. We got to get to our Steve Pearce Award winner, Christian Walker. Once again, second time this year. Steve Pearce Award being the guy, the no-name guy that plays his heart out and is a big reason the other team has a shot at beating the Dodgers. So the no-name guy that outperforms the back on his jersey. Once again, hits a big home run to get the Diamondbacks back in it in extras in that game 1. He just always hits the Dodgers well. I can't quite explain it. He's a Dodger killer. There's a list of them. Cole Calhoun reignited that this series as well. He had a really nice couple of at bats there in I believe game 1, excuse me. Sorry, this is bad radio. Hey, there's Dave Roberts again. The injury list, Walker Buehler, we talked about the blister. Pretty unhappy about it in the sense of Walker Buehler just stopped throwing during the second offseason. And I think that whole reason is he's been behind as far as his curve and building himself up and having his best stuff and looking sharp. I was surprised he still has a sub-4 ERA at 3.86 because he's pitched like crap this year. To be honest, I think he has one good start if you really look at the game logs and start combing through it. it's inexcusable that he just started, unless there's something about his surgically repaired elbow that I haven't read or haven't found, or I'm missing something. Which, once again, please tweet me at EEULAU if I am. But just to stop throwing, and the excuse that I've heard from someone who knows the organization pretty well was they didn't know when they were going to restart the season again. So you just stopped getting ready? I mean, that's like the NBA player that just put on 10, 15 pounds because he didn't know if the bubble was going to happen or not. I mean, that is inexcusable that you're the number one of a staff. You're a Cy Young candidate yet again. You're a guy that pitched his heart out in Game 5 against the National Series last year. And I know I mention that game every time I mention Walker Buehler, but it just stands out in your mind as his peak performance when he went up a level, when he really cemented himself as the ace of the staff. And to come in unprepared this season, obviously not taking his first turn in the rotation to even begin the season, and then now to have this blister issue, which I'm assuming is because the calluses on his hands aren't built up, and he's putting a lot of stress on the finger and the thumb throwing those pitches, and that's why he didn't throw a lot of breaking stuff in his start in that Diamondbacks series. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. I hope there's, or I don't hope, but maybe there's something I'm missing. But for him to be ill prepared and for it to result in just kind of a waste of a shortened season, pretty disappointing stuff. Dustin May with the foot/ankle. We'll see what happens with him. Justin Turner was going to get activated this weekend. Is not going to happen. They're going to be careful. It's a soft tissue injury with that hamstring. There's no reason to rush him back. Pedro Baez, PD, may get activated this weekend, which the bullpen needs. The bullpen needs fresh arms, and they're also going to get Joe Kelly back, which is some good news. Just have a fresh guy to put some innings on. Someone who hasn't been out on the bump in a while and can probably go back-to-back games if he is built up and the arm strength is where it needs to be to go. So never been so happy to see Joe Kelly back and activated to the roster. You're also going to have Jock Peterson back. He was out on paternity leave for the birth of his second child. Congratulations. Good job. And then you have Brusdar Graterol, tweaked his knee. And the reason the Graterol injury, and we'll pause here for a second, this is a direct quote from Dave Roberts, and this may be my favorite thing that Dave Roberts ever said. And I think it was funny, obviously, because it's a very minor injury. He's not going to miss a ton of time. But when asked about Brusdar Graterol's health, Dave Roberts responded in the press conference, I believe it was last night, "He's a big, strong guy, loves mangoes, so I'll get him a mango, and he'll be happy. He'll be fine." I mean, if mangoes could fix everything in this world, I feel like we'd be in a good spot. But as a fellow mango fan, well, good choice of fruit, Mr. Graterol. So that shouldn't be a big deal on that injury front. But Dustin May obviously is a big one, and Walker Buehler, 2 of your starters. May has been very, very consistent this year as far as every time his number's getting called, he gets the start, he gets up on the bump. So because of that, like we talked about Sunday, it's going to be TBD against Zach Greinke. And hey, look, it's a trash can for the Trastros. Saturday, 5:07, that's going to be a Fox nationally televised game. You have Julio Urias and Valdez against the Astros, and then you'll have Sunday Night Baseball, 5:08 p.m. TBD versus Greinke. And I apologize, before the Rockies series, when we had a 7:10 start on Sunday night, I said it was Sunday Night Baseball. It was not. Misinformation. My apologies. Do some fact checking next time around. But that's all we got tonight. A little short and sweet. Really looking forward to this Astros series this weekend, and obviously the Padres. We roll right into the Padres series Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Dodgers are off tomorrow. That is Friday. So it's going to go Astros, and then a 3-game set against the Padres. 5 big games. The Dodgers got to pull themselves out of this tailspin. They got to stop looking so messy. Stop the errors. Get the timely hitting back. Settle the bullpen down. Let the starters get a little deeper into games to give the bullpen the rest they're going to need to get this team to where it needs to be. I'd rather be the 3 seed with a bullpen that's rested than a 1 seed with a bullpen that's absolutely gassed and is not going to have its best stuff and leaves you very vulnerable to losing a very short 3-game series, which is what they're going to do now with this new playoff format they instituted for this year. We'll talk about as it get a little bit closer. They're discussing doing a bubble for the NLCS, the ALCS, and the World Series. The idea that was floated was the ALCS at Petco and the NLCS at Globe Life Park, which is where the Rangers play, and they would have the World Series at the Rangers Stadium. all that's up in the air. They haven't signed off on it. What is interesting to note is the Dodgers are one team that is fighting against the bubble because they're claiming, this is an anonymous source, the Dodgers want to have their players home with their families because we're a top class franchise. That's what we do. So my friends, thank you as always for listening. Please follow me on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube. I always say us. It's just me. I'm sorry. There's no one else here. It's just me and my plastic table in my room. So thank you as always. Please follow us on YouTube. Like, subscribe. I just did it again. Follow me on YouTube. Subscribe, rate, review, share with your friends, share with your Dodger friends, share with your baseball friends, your friends that are mad the Dodgers are that good, just so they can stare at 2 different Dodgers logos on the screen the whole time. So enjoy all of that. But thank you. Stay safe. Stay out of the smoke. Wear a mask. Drink some water. Be safe. Unofficial official sponsor again. Water. Thanks, bud. Have a great night, and I will be talking to you after a wonderful Sunday evening with my close friend, Alex Rodriguez. Can't wait.